Yo guys, what is up? Max on our Dragon's Dogma 2 video, and today we're going over 5 things that I wish I had known before sinking 40 plus hours into this game. I didn't have early access, I've just been blasting it from launch, and I've made some pretty massive errors and mistakes along my way, things I wish I could have taken back. So I want to talk about things I wish I knew, and I've watched a few things I wish I knew videos, and they didn't really cover any of these topics, so hopefully this isn't a redundant video. I haven't seen many people talk about this stuff, so I wanted to share with you guys. This is going to come a little bit more on the min-maxing side to maximize the damage and potential of your character and your playthrough. Hope you enjoy the guide. So the very first thing I wish I knew has to do with your permanent stat increases. Now, this worked similarly in Dragon's Dogma 1. It's not as insane as in Dragon's Dogma 2, but when you level up in this game, depending on what vocation you are currently playing, you're going to get permanent stat increases to the stats that benefit your vocation. For example, if you're playing mage, you're going to get magic damage. If you're playing a fighter, you're going to get lots of defense. And those are permanent stat increases, meaning that if you want to min-max your damage, if you plan on playing magic archer in endgame, you're going to want to play a mage for the early game because you're going to get more base magic. So as you can see, I swapped my character for this example to a fighter, and I have never played a fighter on this character, only just a barely a minimum amount, and I have 198 defense base. My character, my pawn, who's been leveling as a fighter, has 254 base defense, and so them leveling as a fighter is giving them a lot more defense. For example, they have 105 magic damage. They haven't played a magic class at all, and I've been playing a bunch of magic classes, and I have 184 base magic. This isn't like a deal breaker because the level cap in this game is 999, so feel free to experiment and level and stuff like that, but just know if you are wanting to make the most out of your endgame character build, it does make more sense to play a class that is going to level up the stats that you're looking for to get the most out of your damage and your defenses or whatever you're looking for with your class. Just to follow up on that, you are eventually going to want to play all of the vocations to make the most min-maxed build, because you can put on augments from all the different classes. So I'll have a full video on my magic archer build, but for example, I'm using augments from the archer, I'm using augments from warrior, I'm using augments from the mystic spear hand, and I'm using augments from my own class, so that you can get the augments from all the different classes and you can actually see the different augments and earn them, at what rank you're going to earn them, and then combine them all on your main build to be able to deal the most damage. The next thing that I wish I knew, and this would have saved me so many materials, I had to spend a lot of my endgame part refarming gear because I didn't realize this until endgame. But every weapon smith and blacksmith has a different specialty for enhancing. So enhancing is a way to upgrade your gear, and it pops up in a little box in the right corner. You may miss it. They enhance different parts of the weapon. So for example, I'm currently in the checkpoint town, and this favors a tried and true method that moderately enhances all attributes of a piece of equipment. So if I enhance my piece of equipment with them, I'm going to boost up all of their stats. So as you can see, my petticoat, I'm going to get weight carried, defense, and magic defense. However, if I want more defense, if I'm playing like a fighter, I could go to Batal. For example, I'm playing Magic Harger, and I want to increase my magic damage the most. If I go to the elves in the top of the map, the elves have the smithy that increases magic damage on your weapon the most. So if you're playing a mage, a sorcerer, or a magic archer, you're going to want to go to the Sacred Arbor because that is where you can get the most magic damage on your weapons. And this holds true for all of the smithies, depending on if you want to focus strength, want to focus defense. The smithies around the game all focus on different things, so while you're traveling around, make sure you're noting what is going to be important for your build so that you can go there when you want to make important upgrades. I had to buy another endgame bow just so that I could redo this because I was upgrading at a place that increased my strength on a bow that does magic damage. The next thing I wish I knew has to do a bit with farming. Now, Once you're later into the game, you're going to want to be upgrading all of your armor and gear so that you don't die and can kill things more efficiently. And the best thing you can do for that is find a pawn, either hire one or teach your pawn the forager ability. This allows you to see where materials are on the map, which is fantastic, obviously, for getting those upgrades quickly. But it's also really nice for finding monsters that you haven't fought before. If you're trying to fight everything in the game, for example, over here, there's Black Freakish Mane, which means that there's going to be a Gore Chimera on this spot. Now, let's say I go and kill this Gore Chimera and I get one of these Black Freakish Manes and I need two. If you go to a bench or an inn, if you rest for 7 days, those monsters will respawn. So let's say there's a really rare material that you need. You can just go sit on a bench for a few times, click, go doze off, doze off, doze off, doze off, and then you can go back to those spots and farm those monsters again. This is a great way to get a bunch of experience and also a great way to get the materials that you need for those really pricey end game upgrades or high level material upgrades if you're looking for them. A perfect example of this is in the Calignus Depths. There is a monster that spawns here that doesn't spawn anywhere else on the map. This is the only place to find it, and a lot of armor and weapons need materials from this. So placing a port crystal out here to go and farm it, go to a bench, sleep a bunch of times, come back and farm it. You can get materials for upgrading a lot of your armor and weapons and do it pretty efficiently. Also, I do recommend bringing a slicing weapon to this fight if you're looking for the best materials, but that is all I will say on that. The next thing I wish I knew, and this is a bit of a smaller tip, but your character height and weight actually matter in some ways that I didn't actually realize. So if you make a bigger character or a taller character, you'll actually have more reach with your weapons. If you're using a warrior class and you make a really tall character, you'll be able to hit enemies from further away with your weapon, which makes those attacks easier to connect. If you're a heavier character, you're going to be able to carry more weight, but you're going to have slower stamina regen, and your actions will consume more stamina. If you're a lighter character, you have an easier time on climbing on monsters, you'll be able to regen stamina faster, and you have a smaller hitbox, so like it's easier to get away from attacks and just get missed by attacks. And so like if you are making a character, if you're playing like a thief, it makes a lot more sense to be like a smaller hitbox, more fast, more agile. And if you're playing a fighter, it makes more sense to have that longer reach, that heavier carrying capacity. And I know that's like a little bit obvious, but it's not something that I was fully aware of when I was making my character in this game. So I thought that's something that you should know. The next thing I wish I knew has to do with these seeker tokens. Now, these seeker tokens are introduced pretty early on in the game. You find them around the world, they're hidden, and they give you rewards, and those rewards are actually pretty enticing. There are rewards that you can only gain through these seeker tokens, such as things like the Legion's Might, which allows your pawns to auto-revive themselves, or the Ring of Endeavor, which gives you increased experience gains whenever you're killing foes. However, these things are really hard to find. In fact, until I did this, I think I had only found one actual seeker token. However, when you unlock the Trickster vocation, which I'll show you how to do in a second, you only need to rank them up. I believe it's to rank 2 to unlock the Detection Augment. Detection is an augment that you can put on your character, even if you're not playing Trickster, which will allow you to alert to the presence of any Seeker tokens or Wakestone shards in the vicinity. Even if you don't plan on playing Trickster at all, you should play Trickster a little bit to unlock this augment so that you can find not only Seeker tokens, but it'll also tell you where the Wakestone shards are. Wakestone shards allow you to revive yourself or fallen NPCs. It's incredibly useful. And this augment, if you pick it up, will help you find those things much easier. I will say it can be a little bit annoying because it's going to like ding the presence of them, and there's so many of them around the world that like when you put this on, you will be dinging quite a bit, but it'll help you find them. To acquire the Trickster, you're going to want to go to the Reverend Shrine. This is across from Eno Batal Forest, and it is just south of the Checkpoint Rest Town. This is on the very south side of the map. So from the Checkpoint Rest Town, you go down to the Batal Forest and then just go right. And it is right here, the Revenant Shrine. The last part of this video is going to get into heavy spoiler territory. There is Endgame to Dragon's Dogma 2, but it's entirely possible to completely miss it and actually be locked out of playing the Endgame. And so I want to talk about how to unlock it and play it. I will keep it as spoiler-free as I can, but like it inevitably has major like spoilers for like the end of the game. So if you don't want to watch any further, I hope you enjoyed the video. But if you are interested in learning how to unlock Endgame, I'm going to explain it right now and break it down for you. All right, spoiler warning aside, let's talk about it. So at the end of the game, there is a large sequence of actions that you have to do that the game doesn't tell you to do. I have no idea how you're supposed to know how to do this to unlock Endgame. Otherwise, your only option is to just start a New Game Plus. And New Game Plus, honestly, I don't think is all that great because it doesn't seem like it gives enemies more HP or like new rewards. So you're really going to want to get into the Endgame. Now, the way to do this is quite confusing. If you finish the game normally and beat the dragon, that's fine. Just load the game from the last save, and you're gonna get put into this situation where you're rolling the credits and you're put into the hall where the throne is, and your decisions that you make at the end of the game, I think there's like multiple outcomes that you can do, all end you in this credit scene. Now, if you do the obvious, which is walk up to the throne here, the game is over, you start New Game Plus. However, there is a shadowy figure right here in this cloak. Now you need to go and talk to them. Don't stay seated in the throne. Don't sit in the throne at all. I was kind of confused on what to do here. But if you talk to them, you're going to start some dialogue. And then they'll kind of give you an option to do things differently. So I'm going to skip this for spoilers, but you'll start riding back on the dragon, which is how like the end of the game kind of goes. But what you want to do, in order to unlock the end game, once again, it doesn't tell you how to do this, but you want to crawl to the front of the dragon, and then go down to its heart. Now there isn't a like interact button here, so I don't know how you're supposed to know how to do this, but what you're going to want to do is go into your inventory and use the empowered God's Bane blade. This is an item that you get from doing the main quest. It's impossible to not get this while doing the main quest. You're just going to want to make sure it's in your inventory when you approach the end game, or approach the end of the game. So just it costs nothing to carry. Just don't let this ever leave your inventory. You're going to want to have it at all times. But you want to click the use button on it. This is going to pull out it, and you're going to want to click the use on self action. Stab yourself in the heart. I'm going to skip ahead so that you don't see what happens. But after you've clicked the use on self button, you will have unlocked the end game. The end game is pretty freaking awesome. I don't want to say anything more than that because I know I've already said some spoilers, but it basically allows you to keep playing the game rather than the game being over. It allows you to keep playing the game, and you can still do quests that you missed or areas that you didn't get to go to. So it's pretty cool, and it extends your playtime before you have to go into a New Game Plus. One thing to note real quick is when you start the end game, it'll start you facing at the Seafair Shrine where there's a purple icon going to it, and you'll have a quest to go there. When you go there, make sure that you sleep in the cabin. There's a cabin with a bed and a storage stash. For some reason, I think it's a bit of a bug in the endgame. You need to sleep there in order to start saving your progress in the endgame. I had viewers that were playing in the endgame for 4+ hours that didn't sleep in the bed, and if you die, you lose all of your progress, because in the endgame, only in saves are saves. Like, for example, in the main game, if you die in a dragon fight, you can spawn or restart at the save that was like right before the dragon. In endgame, you can only save from in saves. However, you have to like sleep in the cabin in the Seafair Shrine in order to start this like progression of in saves. So just make sure you do that. It's kind of hard to miss. The NPCs will be like right outside it, and it's a big door. It looks a bit like this. There's the NPCs here. You just want to go into here and sleep in the bed, and you should be good to go. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you learned anything new from this video, or if all of my tips sucked. Let me know. I will catch y'all in the next one, and I should have my magic archer build out tomorrow. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.